Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Gary's Record Collection. And so this time we're going to put down the vinyl for just a minute. We do have other media in the collection, and we're going to do a cassette today. A cassette I got actually at a drugstore in the mid 80s. And why in a drugstore? Because I couldn't find it anyplace else. Probably because it wasn't really an official release by the band. And this time we are talking about Chicago live in Toronto. Here it is. This is the cassette that I bought in, 1986 or 7. I saw Chicago at the New York State Fair in 87. So it may right have been around that time. I had the greatest hits albums and on classic rock radio, or what they call classic rock now. But they would always play 25 or 6 to 4. And then sometimes I'm a Man. So not really all like the schmaltzy Chicago stuff, but like the harder edge stuff. That's what I remember hearing. And then, so I got the greatest hits album, and I saw this cassette. And I'm like, hey, it's live, and it's got 25 or 6 to 4 on it. Well, you know what? And it's got I'm a Man, which is, I remember that from the Yardbirds album. So it's like, okay, well, let's give it a shot. Now, what I did not know at the time was this is an unofficial recording. It was not sanctioned by the record company. This all came from the Toronto Rock and Roll Festival in September 1969. And for whatever reason, the promoter, I guess, recorded the Chicago act. They recorded the performance of Chicago, not only Chicago, but a lot of the other bands. And somehow it got distributed. And since maybe late 1978 or so, it's been showing up on records on these budget labels they're legal, but it's just like they're not your typical record label like Columbia or Atlantic or MCA or anything like that you would normally see in a bona fide record store. I didn't care. It was a good recording, and I had been listening to bootlegs anyway, so when you listen to bootleg recordings of concerts, you get what's known as bootleg ears, and you can sort of you start hearing the music beyond the trouble of the recording. So let's say somebody was recording from the audience. You're going to hear a lot of audience noise. You're going to hear a lot of people around you. But you're looking at you want to hear that music that's coming from the stage out front. And so listening with bootleg ears, you can start hearing it. This recording is actually pretty good. The internet says that it was 2 mics, open air mics pointed out toward the stage, but I mean, there's stereo separation in it. It sounds good, and I think it's a decent recording. It's maybe not 16 track professionally mixed, but it gives you a good idea of where Chicago was at the time. And this is after only they had the one album, the Chicago Transit Authority. This recording is so popular that I just looked on Discogs, and there's 170 different versions of it that have been put out since the late 70s. So they love the unauthorized tapes, because the budget labels do, because they can keep putting them out and they don't get in trouble because, well, I don't know why, but that's all right. Let's get into it. Only 8 songs in this, and they played for just about less than an hour. So the whole thing is pretty cooking. Introduction.
We gotta tune it up. Ladies and gentlemen, this group said they wouldn't play till they hear some applause. Let's start applauding now. Chicago!
And there's some really good stereo separation in there. So you're hearing a saxophone in one side and you're hearing in the other. So I don't think that this was open air mics. I think they had to have been plugged into the board somehow. Like I said, the reason that I listened to this was I got it because of 25 or 6 to 4, and that was the big rock and roll radio hit that I thought was their number one. So here it is.
giving up my clothes mind. Sitting cross-legged on the floor. 25 or 6 to 4.
And it goes on, and that's only the third song in the concert. And they got less than an hour. They got to blast out all the good stuff. The next song they played after that, which I was not familiar with until later, but it was a big hit. Does anybody really know what time it is? And I say I wasn't familiar with it. It was just like, again, because the radio at the time was only playing something like 25 or 6 to 4. They didn't get into many of these other songs.
As I was walking down the street one day, a man came up to me and asked me what the time was that was on my wire.
Now it's interesting to listen to the vocals here because it does sound like he's off mic, or like the mics that are picking up the audio. He's not, they're picking up a speaker somewhere where his voice is.
Does anybody really care about time?
So I guess it could be the mics on the stage that were picking up everything. I don't know.
Time enough to cry. And I was walking down the street.
And then I said, I'm a Man came after that, 7 minutes long, and Chicago did it, and they said, you know what, it's time to do a little improvisation. And so I'm listening to this and going, you know what? This doesn't sound like the Yardbirds. And I didn't realize it was like, it's the Spencer Davis group that they're covering. So I got it wrong, but you know what? 7 minutes long, that was okay. I was all right with that. And then they went to Liberation and then Question 67 and 68. Again, things that I don't remember hearing on the radio, but once you hear it, sometimes these are these songs that you hear in the background and don't know what they are, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute, I do know that song. And I know I like the fact that they closed the show. You're going to close your set with a song called Beginnings. I'm like, why is that not at the beginning of the song, the beginning of the set? But maybe that's what they were looking for, you know?
When I'm with you, doesn't matter where we are.
More of that off-mic vocal, it sounds like. It's not off-mic for the audience. They're hearing it well, but the mics that are recording this are picking it up from another speaker somewhere. It's not a direct plug into the board.
Jump passes much too quickly when we're together laughing. Wish I could sing it to you. Oh no, wish I could sing it to you. Oh, 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 I'm silent.
Chicago at the Toronto Rock and Roll Festival in September 1969. They played an hour. They packed it in, and where did they go next? They went to Barton Hall at Cornell University. They were on that university tour, that circuit at the time. That Toronto Rock and Roll Festival, the revival, you probably know that because of John Lennon live piece in Toronto. He was the headliner there, and there were a bunch of other bands that played there too, Chicago just being one of them. But yeah, this cassette is great. I have this. I've had this for so many years now. It's I dubbed that right to my iPod, and it sits there on my iPod today. So check it if you run across it. Pick it up. Check it out. It's not bad. Chicago live in Toronto. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time on Gary's Record Collection.